Hi everyone, welcome to another episode of the Mark Sclair podcast. If you didn't know, this show is split into two parts. One is me documenting my journey, failing my way in public to success. And the other one is me interviewing people, bringing people onto the show that I can learn from. And in a way, because you're listening, you will learn as well. But I thought I'd have a bit of a twist on this today, because if you've been following my journey, you will know that I'm an ethical salesperson living in an unethical sales world. Now, the person I have on the show today, I feel is on the same journey as me, and we're facing very similar challenges, and he's probably in the least ethical part of the sales industry, which is the financial industry. I'm sure you've all had those phone calls from those people that are trying to sell you some sort of stock, some sort of share, some sort of thing that's going to make you money. And I think he's got a really cool story to tell. And I've told him already, I'm not going to hold back. There's going to be some tough questions that I know you would want me to ask. So I'm going to bring him on through now and let him tell you a little bit about himself. So Josh, do you want to introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about yourself, please?
Yeah, thanks, Mark. My name's Joshua Nash. Financial coach, certified wealth planner, financial planner. My journey, so I've been in banking, the financial world in my career, nearly 7 years. Been in the UAE, rather coming up to 3. We've started with NatWest, RBS in the UK, moved over here to ADCB, Abu Dhabi Commercial Bank. I'm now with a company called Global Eye, and yeah, as Mark said, reputation of the industry, reputation of certain companies. It's been a challenge. Like, I've been in sales kind of altogether for like 15 years. But yeah, as Mark said, you're in a world now. I think what's particularly interesting for me is that if someone's a financial advisor in the UK, for example, that's quite a respected job. There's a lot of regulation there, but there's a lot of professional standards, and out here you've probably heard it termed like a bit more like the Wild West. So having experienced both, for me, on both sides, makes my head spin sometimes. But yeah, that's my journey so far, and we're still riding the wave of the UAE.
Yeah, it's really interesting you mentioned that, because to come from the UK, where it's all regulated, institute and everything, it reminds me of my friend when I first moved to Dubai. He came here and he had all the qualifications and he was this wealth manager and he loved his job. Like, he was so happy to come in and sell a product which was in a way going to benefit the clients. And then he comes here and he sat next to people which were working at Phones for You in the UK, and like, no sort of degree, no sort of skills, no sort of examination they had to do to kind of start offering people these. So, like, you want to tell us a little bit more about that, like those challenges?
Yeah, so they, for kind of clarity's sake, they are looking at the industry, or there is regulators here that it's not, the market's not as mature, they're not as hands-on, so they're not as involved. And also, you think from the UK, right, before 2008, there wasn't a lot of regulation, and like a lot of stuff was missold. Even you've seen with like PPI, that was all the banks were on that, like billions of pounds. You've seen like the market crash in 2008 in America, caused by kind of mortgage mis-selling. Even now, like Wells Fargo in the US, going through their own scandal as well. So it does happen. So yeah, over here they are looking at ways to improve it. It takes time, of course. They're looking at bringing in a minimum qualification, which would be a pretty good standard, to be fair, would be pretty good. I think they could always do more, but I wouldn't be surprised if that's in the next 12 months.
Okay.
But what I would say I don't want to say in their defense, but we have a lot of people in my office that are really, not just my office, just in the industry, probably more accurate to say, are really good technical financial planners, know all the numbers, like they want to give good quality advice. But the reality is, if that advice stays in the drawer because you can't sell, or because you don't want to pick up the phone, because you don't have anything about you, it is no longer good advice, because it doesn't get implemented, right? If it stays in the drawer and you've got, 100-page report about what someone should do with their pension or whatever, technically it might be correct, but unless you can get that across to a client, it's irrelevant. So I do think there's a balance to be had. And at the moment, I'd probably say, with the way the industry is here, the two things that are at play are, you have no sort of pressure to give the correct advice, but also some of the commissions, it's changed a bit now, but some of the commissions that are available for, like you said, maybe people that work at phones for you before, they would hustle for like a £20 commission before, right, in the UK, like really work hard, and now you're offering them maybe like, $2,000 or £3,000, like those sort of money. Naturally, it's going to turn people's head. It's going to really test their sort of ethics and the way they go into it. So yeah, and that's a bit. There's the environmental thing as well. So our company doesn't do it. There's companies that take people on a commission only sort of basis. So that creates a situation where that person, to put food on the table, is maybe having to pitch products or do things they wouldn't normally want to do. They might actually be a nice guy, but the environment they're in, when they're on commission only and they've got to do it. I wouldn't say they've got to do it, but they're sort of, they need to survive in that environment, is their mentality. And then you've got the other people that just completely take the piss, that are well off and stuff, and that are just not caring, basically, is what it comes down to. Don't care.
This isn't just unique to your industry or to financial industry. It does happen across everywhere, in real estate, and any type of sales. There's always going to be someone that's ethical, unethical, needs to put food on the table, and they all have the best intentions at the start, but it's your moral compass that falls off, and also it's your lack of development to learn. Like, when you're calling up a client and you're trying to educate them, and you're not aware of kind of the good and bad about that product or service, then how 100%. can you be on the phone speaking to people? So what I like about what you've been doing, and this is why I've got you on the show, because I wouldn't normally bring on somebody for financial, because I am against it, to be fair, but the journey that you're on and what I see you doing, which is trying to educate people beforehand, which is what we definitely lacked at school. We talked about this 100%. Before. We were taught to spend money, not understand how to save money and make the right investment. So do you want to tell us a little bit about how you're trying to make a difference in that way, please?
I've everyone is interested. My wife was going on about the entertainer, like the app. It's a bit of a side point. So are we going to save so much money? It's like, we're not going to save any money, because we're going to spend money by using offers or discounts we wouldn't otherwise have done. One of my mantras, that unless you wanted to buy that product in the first place, you haven't saved money, right? Okay. No matter what discount it's on, like, you haven't saved money, you've spent money. What you said before about moral compass and stuff. So a lot of my kind of approach is all about informed decision. So giving people as much information as they can to make that decision. And it was like, I might kind of flip this back and ask you a question in a minute, because I was kind of thinking this in my head last night. But I think by its nature, look, the sales industry, just by its nature, is actually unethical at the beginning. And there's different sides of that, because let's say you go and buy, you want to go buy a new car from garage, BMW, Audi. You go to their showroom, they're not going to tell you if there's a better product that's a different manufacturer of car. And they're not going to give you all the information you would technically need to make an informed choice, because it's in there, they're getting paid by BMW as a salesperson or whatever. So one of the reasons I joined the company I did was twofold. One, that it wasn't commission only, that's going to pay me a salary. So it would allow me to kind of be independent in the advice I'm giving and not kind of be pressured by selling products or services that just get a good commission.
Yeah.
But yeah, on the second bit is allows me to kind of give people, I can stand by all the advice I give because I know it's correct. And it's that transparency you open it up to, right? It's not about kind of smoke and mirrors and all this sort of stuff. And I think actually my industry isn't, for 95% of people, it's not as complex as the industry want to make it out to be, to do it on there. So yeah, that's my journey, is I can impart some knowledge and kind of empower people to take a bit of ownership. I'm happy with that. Like, I know that's the correct thing to do. But also on top of that, I know I can offer that value. So if you're, let's say your client's knowledge is here, and you're only up here, you can sell to them, right? Because you're only that much better because you have more knowledge. Now, not being arrogant, but in this world, relatively speaking, my knowledge is probably up here.
Yeah.
So I don't mind if my customer's knowledge is up here. I can bring them up to that level. And it's a more sort of a partnership sort of way to do it, because I can justify my advice. I can justify that what I'm advising, or what product I would advise them to take, is fine, because I'm giving them as much information. And then not just that on the sales side, more like you said about school. We're kind of a bit, I wouldn't say programmed, is probably a bit heavy, but we're more steered towards being a consumer. We don't get taught the basics about debt. We don't get taught the basics about how mortgage works, how national insurance works, how pensions work, just the basics. So yeah, for me, that's more of a kind of, I wouldn't say a personal cause, but something I believe in, and I'm like, it's the right thing to put it out there.
Yeah, I think most people, when they think of like the financial industry, they think of like a Wolf of Wall Street, the boiler room with the phones going mad, and you've got to buy now, and if you don't, they start swearing at them and everything like that. So, and the white shirt, whenever I see a guy walking around with a white shirt in Dubai, I know that it's something to do with the financial industry or real estate.
I wore a blue shirt yesterday as well. That's ironic. But that's an interesting point with the kind of dress code, is that I'd really love to kind of be like, probably jeans and a polo top is what I'd be most comfortable in. And that's more me, more authentic. But might be an extreme example, but let's say you got arrested for something, and it was like a really big murder case, and your lawyer walks in and he's wearing his pajamas, you're going to be worried, right? Like, he might be the best lawyer ever. He might be like the most qualified, but initially your initial reaction is going to be like, oh, geez.
Yeah.
And that sort of stuff, like, I think there's set professions. So maybe like, I'm not putting myself in this group, like, on a sort of save the world level, but like lawyers, doctors, and for me, financial services, that there is an expectation that there's a certain image that people do want to see. Yeah. Especially, not that it's my game at the moment, but especially, people with, $20 million, if I turn up, and even if I'm giving the best advice and I'm the answer to all their problems, if I turn up wearing jeans and a polo top, they're not going to take me seriously.
No.
There is doing that. But yeah, back to what you said about Wolf of Wall Street. I wouldn't say I wish, but it's not that glamorous, or that sort of environment. It's actually, for a lot of offices I've seen, and a lot of the industry, it's I wouldn't say depressing environment, but it is stressful. But I think the difference is, in the Wolf of Wall Street, there was this team effort, right? There was a teamwork to kind of achieve, and obviously they took it like way too far, and that kind of drove that behaviour of kind of everyone egging each other on, that competition to kind of do a bit more and that sort of thing. And I think that made that situation a lot worse. Yeah. Whereas I think the majority of companies that I'm aware of and know in the industry, it's every man's a sort of one man band sort of thing. Yeah. So there's like, they might care internally, a bit of ego, but they don't really care what the mate next door to them earned. Like, they're doing it for them.
Yeah.
But in a positive way for me, that allows me, because I know I want to do the right things, want to do the ethical investing. It's more about personal brand, right?
Yeah.
Whereas if I was working for a company that was just a team and they were like, you need to sell these products, you need to do this, I'd never do it in the first place.
Yeah.
I've chosen this sort of route because it gives me the independence to be like, I can set my own brand up, I can do my own website, I can do my own thing. And that allows me then to be more ethical. That allows me to be more, and also help more people is the main thing.
Yeah.
So that was one of the key decisions why I moved from ADCB. Was it was good, it was fine, great employer, I love my time there, but I couldn't help with all the things I wanted to help with, or all the areas that I thought would improve that person's position. I couldn't do because I could only do the bank's limited range of solutions, basically.
Yeah, no, that's interesting. And I like with the whole Wolf of Wall Street thing. Obviously, with Jordan Belfort, he does sales training now.
Yeah,
and that's what he's kind of known for. Yes, he's known for doing bad things before, but if you see anything he does now, it's about signing up for his sales training course, become a better sales trainer, become best at sales. And people say to me like, well, you're telling me you're ethical, but you're watching and telling me about Jordan Belfort. And I said, well, the way he sells, there's incredible skill to that.
So much.
What happened to him was he just got greedy, and his moral compass fell off. So he knows how to sell to people. He knows how to get people to buy, and he's a great person to follow. But yes, he had that bad part of his life, but that was because the greed took over and the moral compass fell off. So
yeah, I think I have a bit of an ethos where I don't idolize anyone. Like, everyone's got their flaws. Yeah. But I can watch a video from Jordan Belfort, whether it be in the Wolf of Wall Street or be like sales training. Yeah. If I take 20% of value from that, and I think, oh, that's relevant, and I think the other 80% is shit and I don't agree with it, that's still fine. Yeah. I can still respect that person and be like, yeah, that worked. So, and actually, like, if you're in the sales sort of industry and you watch Wolf of Wall Street again from a kind of like a technical exercise, some of the stuff in there like is really smart. Yeah. I'm not saying it's like it justified the outcome at all, but from a sales point of view, like you said, he knew what he was doing. Yeah. He knew how to sell. And if we actually watched a clip of him yesterday, and when he's on the phone with Wolf of Wall Street, and I broke it down to like what he's actually doing in the pace of conversation. I might share it with you actually. After the pod, it's like the structure that he's following, and I was like, that makes so much sense. Yeah. But once you're in sales, you can appreciate it for sure.
Well, I think as well, like what he talks about and he delves into quite a bit is this straight line.
Persuasion, straight line persuasion.
Yeah, but what it is, you can listen to a colleague be on that phone 45 minutes, and he's talking about a fishing trip, he's talking about the holidays everyone's had, and a lot of people think that's building rapport, and some people they do need that, but this investor or this person you're on the phone to, he wants to know that you know enough knowledge that's going to make him money.
Yeah.
So all of that fishing talk and all that holiday stuff, it kind of knocks you off course. So it's not just the objection handling where you need to bring them back in. It's also like the way that these conversations go off, and you come off the phone and you talk for 45 minutes and you've got nowhere with it.
Yeah.
So that's what I really like about him.
Yeah, so that's one of the things he was doing in this conversation. He was controlling that conversation. He was really funneling it down. So this is what I want to speak about. This is why you're going to take the call. Like, he was in complete control of that conversation. And I've fallen into that trap before. Yeah, I've fallen into that trap before. So I don't cold call people. I have, it's probably, so I've been doing this.
Let me ask you a question on this actually. I'll ask you a question because you say about cold calling, and it's a big no-no these days. People still do it, whatever. But the one thing about cold calling is you need to have a hard shell, because you're going to get a lot of no's. Now, there's one thing having that hard shell, but then there's another thing trying to be creative. So I think if you want to tell us a little bit how you're kind of moving away from that phone bashing days to try and bring people to you? Because people will want to know about that. So do you want to tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, so I think it's a couple of years back. So I did do a job where it was in like debt management, like over Christmas. It was like a temporary job, like 4 or 5 weeks, and that was more like super aggressive, smash your phones. I think I was making like 200 calls a day. Like their marketing campaign was like, if you've got debt, you need help, text this number, and then we just get the number and have to call. We might know their name. So yeah, that was like a hard shell, and that you build a lot of resilience kind of coming through that. What I'm doing now, so I have a couple sort of like partners that I work with, and if they've got someone that I think I can help, right, that I've actually got someone to speak about specifically, and I mean specifically, it's not a warm call because they're not expecting it, but it's not cold, right? They're like, if I actually have some information about them before, and I have a genuine reason that I can help them, right, I will do it. So I had one of the someone give me a lead and said, "Is this guy? Give me a bit of a profile of the guy." And I was like, "That's exactly the type of person I want to speak to." Yeah. It turns out, so he was 51 years old, just moved to the country. So I was sort of speaking to you before about the financial coaching sort of side, help him get set up. Not selling many products whatsoever. This first 6 weeks, kind of navigate through the whole situation. And we don't have a bit of relationship. His daughter's 3 years old. He's 51. Okay. Didn't have any life insurance, right? So we developed a relationship over the next sort of 2-3 months, and now he's got something in place. And I can genuinely feel good about that because it's something that he made the informed decision to. But if I'd never called him, I 100% know he never would have done that. I 100% know that. And now he's in a much more secure position financially, got much more peace of mind. A bit of a side point is he's smoking 80 cigarettes a week, and his daughter's 3 years old. So you kind of put 2 and 2 together a bit. Yeah. He doesn't have anything in place. He's the main earner in his family, right? So just a bit on the ethical side. I'm not saying it's justified, but because I called him with a specific reason that I knew I could help him, I don't mind doing that. But I'm not going to pick up the phone to like hundreds of people a day and nag people, and also damage my own sort of brand and reputation. If you've got something good to offer and you genuinely believe it's good, you know, Apple and Ferrari don't call people. No, they don't call people. So for me, that's a bit of especially what I'm doing is built on trust, right? It's built on trust. It's the advice. It's a bit different, I think, if it's a product, because someone might just need that product from you. Don't care about you as a salesperson. No. That might work more so with cold calling, right? You've got a solution for them. But for me, it's the trust thing I don't want to do. So a couple of my marketing strategies are more really hyper personalized. So I have 4 different profiles of people that I would help. That I can help other people, but that's where I could be the most help. So that's where all my efforts are targeted. So all my marketing, all my SEO, all my sort of geofencing stuff is really targeted towards this person of this age who has this problem, and then they'll click through an ad or they'll click through my website and then come to me. That way is more my strategy to get away from cold calling. I don't believe anymore it's a numbers game of just kind of smashing the phones and doing it in our industry, because like what you said, like you're aware, like everyone in the UAE is aware that they're going to get those calls from, you know, so many financial advisors. I've even had them myself, right? They'll call me and I respectfully, it's like, don't waste your time, and let them crack on. But that's dead. I think that's sort of the Blockbuster to Netflix sort of way. I think that way of working for our industry, it should, there's no need. I actually think it's lazy. I actually think it's weird me saying that. I actually think it's lazy, because you're not really getting any better. You're not really learning about advertising, marketing, different strategies. You're just playing the numbers game. I could get like a lot of unqualified people who didn't know what to talk about to do that. Like, it doesn't serve anyone. It's just numbers. Yeah. And I think that's what the industry was built on before, that if we just get enough people, we get 100 people on commission only, and if 5 of them are successful, happy days. And the other 95 will leave here with no money, in debt, and sold the dream and leave. So actually, that's my probably takeaway from that. Cold calling is lazy. You can quote me on that.
Yeah, I think, well, because you're not being creative, are you? Like you said, like you can literally make a phone call, and it's stupid busy. Oh, I've made 200 calls. But if I would have actually focused on, and I like what you've put there. You understand the 4 sort of clients that you feel you can help.
Yeah.
And you target them. So it's a bit more niche, but it's focused, and you know what you need to be doing. Whereas some people, they cast their net out so far and wide, and they spread themselves too thin with it. So I think, if you know, and what I like as well is, and what I want to touch on here is, the reason why people struggle kind of picking up that phone call and making those phone calls, or even if they're warm leads, whatever, they don't believe that their product or service actually can help those people. But 100%. If you've got a no, and then you've picked up the phone again, and you're like, no, actually, this product and service is going to help these people. That's why I have to get in touch with this person. It's vital. Yeah. He needs a life insurance. His kid's 3 years old. What's going to happen if that happens? And you don't want to put the fear into people, but you need to educate them to understand, like, if something goes on here, then what's going to happen to your family? So you want to reassure them they're going to be okay. And that's why you pick up the phone. Yeah. So that's like, that's the same mentality that I've probably called less than like 10 people in like 6 months, right? Okay. Like cold. Because I genuinely believe, like, I wouldn't say I'm doing them a favor, because obviously it's a mutually beneficial sort of arrangement, as sales is. But I'm like, you need to listen. That even sounds bad, but like, I was gonna say, you need to listen to what I need to tell you, but I genuinely believe in it. Like, and I can justify it, and I could, like, say we're putting it on this podcast or putting it anywhere, but I could say that, and I don't have to hide behind it, because I know it's, I've just sold a product and did X, Y, Z. So it's like, sales is a transference of belief. That's what it is. And if you believe it enough, it will come across to the client. But the problem is with your industry, as I know, is that you'll get an email around saying, oh, look, this might not happen now, but from what I understand, it's happened in the past. You'll get an email from, I'm not saying your company, I'm saying the industry as a whole, saying, right, if we can push this, then we're going to get extra commission. So it might not be the best sort of product, but you're offering it to your client, and people are getting paid for this when something that's not going to benefit them. So that for me is, it's contradicting, isn't it? It is. And like that exists in, like, I used to work in mobile phone sales, that sort of exists as well. If you sell 10 Nokia's or iPhones, will give you extra incentive. So I don't mind it as a concept. What I mind is the impact. Okay. So let's say you sell someone a phone that might not be the best phone for them, and you sell someone a Hoover that's not the best Hoover for them. Okay, fine, maybe not ethical, right? But what's the impact for them? It's not a big deal, right? It's an annoyance for them, and they might have to change phone. They're a bit miffed by it. Yeah. But in our sort of industry, like, the impact you'll have by selling the wrong product, or just doing whatever changes commission, is untold. Like, you're messing with people's time, messing with people's lives. And the thing that gets me, like, upset is that most clients wouldn't know that they've been, I wouldn't say scammed, but they've been sort of misled or missold or whatever, until like maybe 20 years down the line. And it's too late to know anything about it. So for me, with the ethics, it's not more the day-to-day of what's happening, it's like the impact. So I think of the things I do in my behavior, what impact would it have on this person if I was to do this? Yeah. Right. And that's what drives my sort of decisions to do it, because you've got, the flip side is, for like our business, sometimes I might sit with a client for like a 3-hour session and give them advice. Okay. But there's no tangible product. I have to charge for that time. Okay. Yeah. So how it's almost not unethical, but like, that hasn't cost me money to do, right? There's no commission there, so I'm kind of putting a price out there that I think is fair. And if they pay it, let's say it's $500, well, it didn't cost me $500, so is it unethical to charge that? Yeah. Like, you're in that environment to do it. So that's why I was coming back to what you said before. Like, it's about informed decision and consent. These are options. But yeah, the environment doesn't help, and I don't mind sharing with you. It's a bit more complex than this, but I have a case going on at the moment. So in every sales, say, negotiation in every industry,
You have what's right for the client, 100% what's right for the client, and what's right for the business. Okay. So what's good for Apple is that, Mark, you buy 100 iPhones, right?
Yeah.
Whatever, like you don't need that. But what's good for you is if you've got an iPhone for free, right? That's what's the best thing for you. Obviously, those two things aren't going to happen.
No.
So it's trying to get it in the middle as much as you can and informing the client. But I have a case at the moment where if I think of the right way to word this. So it's still early stages of what we're going to do with the way it pans out. We need a bit more information. But just to give you an insight on the commission side, I've got two solutions for the client.
Yeah.
Okay, that both will probably solve his problem or kind of deliver him the right solution. One will pay me 6 times more commission than the other. All right. So I know that I actually know the guy kind of person. I've known him for 2-3 years. So it doesn't make a difference. Obviously, it makes a difference to me financially which one he chooses, but more for my own sense. I don't care like which one he chooses, but I care that he has enough information to make the decision. Yeah. But I was kind of thinking in my head, I'm really lucky that I can. I'm not wealthy, but like I'm secure enough where I can forego that big commission, right? That I'm not kind of swayed, and most people aren't in that situation. So I wouldn't I wouldn't say I would understand if someone did that. If someone's like, well, it's not this case, but an example. It's $5,000 if you do X, but it's $50,000 if you do Y. Of course, everyone's going to have their head turned. Of course, like people are going to kind of think, well, and they'll try and justify that decision to go into it. So, but then
it's coming from management as well, though.
Sorry.
It comes from management as well. How forceful management.
Yeah. Or the culture of the company essentially. And it works both ways. But our industry at the moment is your moral compass will guide your decisions. Your company won't. Most companies won't have a certain way. They won't actually tell you to sell X products or Y, but you do you. So there is some good advisors that give really good advice that do things properly that just happen to work for a company where 80% of the other people in the office don't share the same values or ethics, essentially. So it does make it a challenge. But I was thinking to myself, I should never be in a situation or environment where I'm having to make a decision about product X or product Y, and there's a 6 times difference in commission. I should never be allowed to make that decision.
So that's what a lot of salespeople struggle with is getting the clients to understand that they are trustworthy.
Yeah.
Even if it's a warm lead, even if it's somebody that's referred, it's still the case of they're going to have their back up a little bit because they don't really know you, and you've got to kind of prove to them that there is that sort of trust. So what do you do to try and build that trust?
I think first of all is give for me, it's going to depend on that person of who it is and what profile of person that is. Okay. Like you shared with me a couple of weeks back, like the sales sort of profiles, personalities of doing it, but I don't have like an agenda to kind of go in. I'm like, I can be credible by understanding their situation, and being like, I understand your situation because of X, Y, Z, and then I will let that journey take its course. And some people will take a week or two and be like, I trust him enough and he knows what he's speaking about. And other people will take 6 months, and I'm okay with that because I think what people miss in sales, and this is maybe a bit of a paradox, is for me there's no urgency. Okay, so yes, it's better if people invest early. Yes, it's better if you do X, Y, Z. It's better, but the urgency would be selfish from me. There's an urgency because I want to hit target or I want to do X, Y, Z, but for the client, 9 times out of 10, there's not. Yeah. And if there was an urgency, they'd be ringing you, right? Yeah. So I think people miss that. You've got to let that journey take its course. But I think the trust side is built on what I'm trying to do with the education side, that I'm being transparent, that I'm putting it out there, that I'm empowering them to do it. That if I was selling something dodgy or wasn't giving correct advice, then why would you give all the information or give the client all the information or all the sort of education basically. So yeah, but it is a good point. It's like I think the trust weighting for my job is like 80% up here. Like people need to trust you. Whereas if you walked into Apple to buy their phone, you don't need to trust the Genius Bar or the sales agent.
No, because Apple's already sold it.
Yeah.
You're buying the brand.
Like,
yeah.
Yeah. And also you kind of trust a product that will deliver what you want it to deliver.
Yeah.
So I
think what you're saying, what you're saying really is like patience.
Yeah.
You're very patient, and that's with your educating them. You're not trying to throw it down their throats. If it takes 2 weeks, if it takes 6 months, you're willing to wait that time to build the trust.
Yeah, that's a good way to sum it up.
Yeah.
That's
how it comes across to me anyway.
Concise way to sum it up than what I said.
Sometimes it takes saying it like that, but that's how it comes across to me, that you're willing to be patient enough. And I said this the other day in a video actually, and I was like, what is a priority to you, and you just said it's probably what is a priority to you, which is doing the deal, is not necessarily a priority to the client. So you need to leave your ego
100%.
away from all of this and just be patient and understanding and take your time, and it will come.
Yeah, so that's another reason I work under the sort of arrangement I do with my company. Is I don't have a target that's you need to sell X, Y, Z, you need to do this. Just like I have an arrangement with them, obviously financially, but they don't say you need to sell X amount of products or you need to do X amount of calls, or you need to do that sort of stuff. I'm 30 years old now, and I feel like I've done that time in my life. I've done those sort of situations. I've been that sort of person. And selling phones and stuff. It was actually quite fun. I enjoyed that. And that was a bit of a buzz. You need to sell so many. But yeah, I'm like, I've matured, I think, out of that, and be like, it's not that. I don't feel that pressure. Like I don't, even if my manager rang me tomorrow and said, we want you to do X, Y, Z, I'd be like, unless it's going to benefit the client directly, I'm not interested.
No, that's good. That's good. Your manager's like that. I mean, not calling you up. I mean, patient with you as well. So, to quote Mr. Miyagi, because I've been watching Cobra Kai recently. There's never a bad student. There's only a bad teacher. It all comes from what we're learning and how those people are with you and putting the pressure on you and expecting so much of you. So if you've got somebody that's not putting all that pressure on you, you feel free to work and work as you do.
Yeah, so that was for me. So when I was ready to kind of go into wealth management from banking, I think I probably interviewed or people reached out. About 5 or 6 companies had reached out because with my time in banking, I built a good reputation of doing that. I wouldn't say well known, but we're getting tagged in posts and stuff because you're genuinely helping people. So I did have that choice, but I'm only going to work with a company that really fits my MO and the way I want to work. So yeah, that was that's kind of fed into everything else, and that will enable me to be more successful because my manager trusts me to do the job. And that's what I wouldn't say take it personally, but I've been in another job before where they're like, you need to do X, Y, Z. And I'm like, if you didn't trust me to do X, Y, Z, why did you hire me in the first place?
Yeah.
It's this sort of fake pressure for pressure's sake. I'm too old for it, Mark. I'm not interested in those sort of arrangements where they're trying to manipulate you essentially because they want a bigger bonus. I don't care. I don't care if my manager has, or in any case, not directly my manager now, but yeah, my manager's eating turkey for dinner or beans on toast. I don't care. Not my problem. Yeah.
No, it's interesting because in the interview process, people think that they're being interviewed, but really, you should be interviewing the company. Do they match with the mission you're on, with the way you're trying to be ethical, those types of things. So yes, the industry can be unethical, but you can at least have a team or management which are trying to do the right thing.
Yeah, I think though, I only say that if I've been in jobs before, and I've been out of work, I've been desperate for a job.
Yeah.
Right. I can't go, and I've only got one interview, so I can't go in and say, this is what I want to do, and if you don't like it, tough shit. Like, you've got to kind of play the game with that, because people are in those. Sorry?
I would.
Yeah.
No, I've learned over the years.
But yeah,
I've learned over the years.
No, yeah. If you got, if you're at work, especially now with COVID, someone's at work, and they've got 4 kids to feed or put through school, and they've got one interview, they're probably not going to be able to walk to the interview and be like, I'm going to call the shots. This is what I want from you. It's going to be, I wouldn't say cap in hand, but yeah, the power dynamic is shifted to you need them more than they need you sort of situation.
I think.
But yeah, I was lucky enough this time.
That's a discussion for another time, definitely. But is there anything that you kind of want to let the audience know in regards to what you're offering in regards to your service?
No, I don't want to kind of steer people a certain way. I'm like, there's a lot of kind of resources out there. My main takeaway would be it's not as complicated as you think. All right. For some people who's got like 3 different passports and different residencies and different tax situations, yeah, for sure, it's complex. But if you look at the expat community in the Middle East, most people just want to save for a better future, maybe retirement, whatever. It's not as complex as everyone wants to make out. And yeah, once you've started that first journey, and I'll hope I can kind of hold people's hand on that journey and kind of we'll do it together, because there will be certain, I'm qualified, like I'm certified, I've been doing it nearly 7 years. So obviously I've got the knowledge to do it. But yeah, the basics is not, it's not a Rubik's Cube sort of situation. It's not that difficult.
Okay, now what I'd like to ask at the end is there anything that I haven't asked that I should have asked?
Yeah, it's maybe one for your viewers that'll go through. But I'm like, I'll throw it out there that if anyone wants to message me or message you, but I should have asked them this, I'll follow up and give them an answer. I'll give them a video to do it. And I'll tell them as honestly as I can what the situation is. And the only caveat is I can't go into a kind of specific case or specific situation. But yeah, in general, if anyone wants to ask, if anyone's like, I should have asked them this, or what happened with this, then for sure.
Look, we're always going to walk away and think what we should have asked, what we shouldn't have asked. But yeah, it's just something I like to kind of put out there to people. Like, if there's anything you think that the people need to know or I should have mentioned, then now is the time to say it. Yeah.
No, like not without having in-depth knowledge. If you were like, well, what would you do to change the industry, sort of thing, or what would you like to see? Okay. There's lots I would like to see, but I know it's not going to happen for probably about 3 or 4 years. Okay. So,
but at least you know it's potentially going to happen, and you can work towards that. Yeah.
Yeah, but then I'm not in control of that. So I'm like, if I'm ethical and I have good morals and I'm doing good work, it doesn't matter if the regulations tell me to do good work or not. I'm already doing it.
Yeah.
So
control the controllables.
Yeah. And a lot of it's just noise. Don't don't blame anyone else. All right. Don't be like, oh, it's only this because not this regulation or not this protection or whatever. Don't blame yourself.
Yeah.
Don't blame other people. Like, take responsibility. So no, there's a lot of good content out there. There's a lot of good people to follow. That's my main takeaway from it for people, kind of from the financial side of things, or looking at, like, when I first spoke to you, Mark, it's interesting. You were like, you might have certain, not problems, but certain things where you're like, oh, I need advice on this financial side of things. I'm unsure about this, but you're not going to reach out to anyone because you don't trust the industry. So, and that's not because you've had a bad direct experience. It's because you just know that the industry's got a poor reputation, right?
Yeah.
So that's what frustrates me, is that there's genuine people, might be like yourself, might be like 100 other people, that potentially we've missed out on helping because someone ripped off another person like 6 years ago, whatever. It's a really dumb way to work. Really dumb.
Well, that's the mission that you're on.
Yeah.
And missions aren't usually reachable, but we work towards it. So I'm trying to elevate the sales industry back to the level it should be with the gloss and shine. Is that mission impossible? Potentially, but I'm going to work hard to get there. So I want to thank you for coming on the show, Josh. I'm going to, in the description, in the link, whatever, there's going to be details for Josh. You can reach out to him yourself. From what I've seen, from what I know of Josh, he's trying to do things in an ethical way. He's trying to educate everybody. He's trying to make you have the ability to make an informed decision, which is what I like. And that's what I'd say to my old clients when I was selling market intelligence. We give you the information needed to make informed strategic decisions. So I like you doing that. I've got somebody here that's trying to be ethical like me, so we can work on this journey together. And I hope that I kept to my word at the beginning where I said I was going to grill you on some stuff. I hope the audience think that I did that. So did you feel it?
Yeah. Yeah, no, it's good. It was good. Probably could have answered things a bit more concisely for the viewers if they're bored. So apologies for that.
Well, as I said, your details are going to be there. They can reach out to you. Be happy to answer any of their questions, or they can grill you as well. But as I said, thank you again for joining the show, and I look forward to seeing you again in the future. Nice one, Josh.
Thank you, Mark.
Thanks a lot. Take care.
Cheers.
Bye now. Thanks for listening and watching, guys. I hope there were some real gems that you get inspired by and take action with. Within the description, I try to mention everything that's been spoken about, but on a daily basis, I put out content to inspire and help others. To see more, please like, subscribe and follow me on Instagram, LinkedIn, YouTube, Spotify and Apple Podcast. Search by the name Mark Sclair. Thank you very much again, and I hope you enjoy the journey.